Welcome to the Billionaire Mindset, your 30-day journey to thinking like a billionaire. Now you can just watch this video, or if you want to sign up for the entire series for free and get the bonus PDF companion calendar, check the link in the description below. Today is day 7, and we're going to learn how you can think like a billionaire. Enjoy.
"18 years ago, in my apartment, I told the 18 founders that one day we will build up a site. That site will be the top 10 sites of the world, and we will build up a company that can last 102 years. And people say, why 102 years? Because our company was born in 1999. Last year, we had 1 year. This century, we finished 100 years, and next century, we have a 1 year. 102 means cross 3 centuries. When every goal you give to your team should be very accurate. If you say, this company is going to last 100 years, so nobody take it seriously, because every company say, we want to last 100 years. So the number you give the team should be very accurate. We took the video when I talked to the 18 founders. And today, when I watch the video, a lot of people say, well, since we don't have anything to do, when you see 102 years, a big 10 sites, let's just do it. Very few people believe that we will make it happen, because we don't have a high resumes, right? I graduated from Hangzhou Teachers College. And most of my colleagues at 18 founders, they were my students, my friends. None of them are very successful. Among the 18 people, there are only 3 people who know something about computer. The rest of 15 people know nothing about computer, nothing about the internet. We had no money. 18 people gathered $50,000. And we had no relationship. None of us from rich family or powerful family with a government office background. We don't have great talents. So I told the team that, guys, if we can be successful, 80% of the young people in the world can be successful. Because at that time, China had the internet was so backward. Nobody believed e-commerce in China. Nobody believed internet. People say China will not develop internet. And China will not have e-commerce because you don't have a credit card system, you don't have logistics, you don't have this, you don't have that. But I think someday China will have. If we start to do it now, if we prepare for 10, 15 years, the day that e-commerce in China will booming. So that was the thinking at the beginning.
You better stay on top of yourself and really measure. Unless people measure themselves, you don't get any better. You cannot succeed unless you are really holding yourself accountable and owning outcomes. Believe me, I've seen plenty of people at Microsoft, various places in the tech industry, brilliant people, who when it came time to execute and actually count success, maybe not so much. Maybe not so much. In order to do that, you have to actually know what the goal is. If the goal was to get to 450 million users and then sell to Facebook, WhatsApp did a hell of a job, right? I mean that. It's a hell of a job at 19 billion, 55 people. That's a hell of a job. But you have to decide, what outcome do you want? Bill Gates was offered $7.5 million to sell all of Microsoft in 1979. It would have been a rich guy if he had taken it. Richer if he didn't, but a rich guy. But even putting that aside, the impact on society wouldn't have been the same. We had discussions with Facebook about buying Facebook, but Zuckerberg knew what he viewed as an outcome that he really desired and was willing to put in the blood, sweat, and tears, just like we were. So execution and measurement are hugely important, and yet people let themselves off the hook.
What are the things you think about that make companies successful in this type of environment versus those that struggle?
Well, I think it starts with us having a long-term view rather than a short-term view. And always thinking of how we can be successful long term by creating value for others, starting with our customers and employees. And so when we look at it that way, there's always uncertainty. So it starts with being prepared with that and recognizing that the future is unknown and unknowable. So the way we have prepared ourselves for that is focusing on building capabilities that will make us successful under a whole variety of conditions, which means having more flexibility, more optionality, more diversity. And so those are the things that we've always tried to do. And so the starting point is building capabilities that will enable us to create value with others, starting with our customers. And then finding the opportunities or the sets of customers for whom we can create the most value. And then as we do, not resting on our laurels, but recognizing the future is going to be different than the past, then continually improving and adding to those capabilities. And as we do, then we say, oh, with those capabilities, we can now pursue additional opportunities. And then as we start pursuing those opportunities, we realize, well, we need additional capabilities. So we add still more capabilities. So this creates what I've called a virtuous cycle of mutual benefit, where it's continual improvement and growth and diversity.
Certainly during the time I was at Harvard, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. The idea that software was this field that the opportunity was unbelievable. That became more obvious during the 3-year period I was here. But my dad had been a lawyer. I thought of mathematics, like doing well in the Putnam. That was the coolest thing. And the computer software, I didn't think those people were as smart as the math people. So it's like, well, am I going to go into the easy field or this really hard field? But anyway, math was fantastic. When I finally picked and decided to go do Microsoft, then I got into a period from age 19 to about 40 where I wasn't able to look at the latest on how tornadoes work or how mitochondria work. I was pretty monomaniacal. And when I was able to ask Steve, this is the year 2000, Steve Ballmer, he mistakenly graduated, but then he started at but I was trying to hire him, but his parents told him you're supposed to graduate, which was fine. But then he started at Stanford Business School, and he was in his first year, and I thought, well, this is perfect. I'll get him to drop out of Stanford Business School. So in a certain sense, he is a dropout. And he was very key to the success of Microsoft. I mean, he knew a lot of things. But during that period, I didn't get to do much. At Harvard, I took all these courses because it was just so amazing that people were interested in talking about them. And I have to say, I never went to a lecture during reading period or anything because the courses that I was actually signed up for, I finally started to work on those. So I was in Hillel the minute it would open to the minute it would close during reading period, trying to catch up on that other set of courses. So people say I'm a dropout, which is literally true. But because I like college courses, the online college courses, there's a company called The Learning Company that I buy tons and tons of their stuff, and I do at least 4 or 5 courses a year. In a sense, I like going to college more than anyone. So I've sort of made sure my job, certainly post-Microsoft, that I get to spend my time meeting with scientists, learning new things, seeing what the hard problems are, in some cases giving money to people to take on those very, very hard problems.
One of the things that really hurt Apple was after I left, John Sculley got a very serious disease. And that disease, I've seen other people get it too. It's the disease of thinking that a really great idea is 90% of the work. And that if you just tell all these other people, here's this great idea, then of course they can go off and make it happen. And the problem with that is that there's just a tremendous amount of craftsmanship in between a great idea and a great product. And as you evolve that great idea, it changes and grows. It never comes out like it starts, because you learn a lot more as you get into the subtleties of it. And you also find there's tremendous trade-offs that you have to make. I mean, there are just certain things you can't make electrons do. There are certain things you can't make plastic do or glass do. And as you get into, or factories do, or robots do. And as you get into all these things, designing a product is keeping 5,000 things in your brain, these concepts, and fitting them all together in kind of continuing to push to fit them together in new and different ways to get what you want. And every day you discover something new that is a new problem or a new opportunity to fit these things together a little differently. And it's that process that is the magic. And so we had a lot of great ideas when we started, but what I've always felt that a team of people doing something they really believe in is like when I was a young kid, there was a widowed man that lived up the street, and he was in his 80s. He's a little scary looking, and I got to know him a little bit. I think he might have paid me to mow his lawn or something. And one day he said, "Come on into my garage, I want to show you something." And he pulled out this dusty old rock tumbler. And it was a motor and a coffee can and a little band between them. And he said, "Come on with me." We went out to the back and we got some rocks, some regular old ugly rocks. And we put them in the can with a little bit of liquid and a little bit of grit powder. And we closed the can up, and he turned this motor on. He said, "Come back tomorrow." And his can was making a racket as the stones went around. And I came back the next day, and we opened the can, and we took out these amazingly beautiful polished rocks. The same common stones that had gone in through rubbing against each other like this, creating a little bit of friction, creating a little bit of noise, had come out these beautiful polished rocks. And that's always been, in my mind, my metaphor for a team working really hard on something they're passionate about, is that it's through the team, through that group of incredibly talented people, bumping up against each other, having arguments, having fights sometimes, making some noise, and working together, they polish each other. And they polish the ideas, and what comes out are these really beautiful stones. Yeah. So it's hard to explain, and it's certainly not the result of one person. I mean, people like symbols, so I'm the symbol of certain things, but it really was a team effort on the Mac. Now, in my life, I observed something fairly early on at Apple, which I didn't know how to explain it then, but I've thought a lot about it since. Most things in life, the dynamic range between average and the best is at most 2 to 1. Right? Like if you go to New York City and you get an average taxi cab driver versus the best taxi cab driver, you're probably going to get to your destination with the best taxi cab maybe 30% faster. In an automobile, what's the difference between an average and the best? Maybe, 20%. The best CD player and an average CD player, 20%. So 2 to 1 is a big, big dynamic range in most of life. In software, and it used to be the case in hardware too, the difference between average and the best is 50 to 1, maybe 100 to 1.
Easy.
Okay? Yeah. Very few things in life are like this, but what I was lucky enough to spend my life in is like this. And so I've built a lot of my success off finding these truly gifted people and not settling for B and C players, but really going for the A players. And I found something. I found that when you get enough A players together, when you go through the incredible work to find 5 of these A players, they really like working with each other because they've never had a chance to do that before. And they don't want to work with B and C players, and so it becomes self-policing, and they only want to hire more A players. And so you build up these pockets of A players, and it propagates. And that's what the Mac team was like. They were all A players. And these were extraordinarily talented people.
The way to make movies is to do stuff that you love, because, you know, for 25 years I worked on The Oprah Show, and Stedman will tell you that there were nights that I came home and I almost, you know, it was hard to even like take off my clothes because I knew I was going to be getting up 4 hours later. But I never really felt exhausted, like I felt exhausted, but I never felt depleted. So do the work that comes straight from the soul of you, from your background, from stories that you've grown up with, from stories that bring you passion, from stories that you not just yearn to tell, but that if you don't tell them, they won't get told. And when you are operating, you know, the single greatest wisdom I think I've ever received, other than when people show you who they are, is that the key to fulfillment, success, happiness, contentment in life is when you align your personality with what your soul actually came to do. I believe everybody has a soul and has, you know, their own personal spiritual energy. So when you can use your personality to serve whatever that thing is, you can't help but be successful. So if you do films that come from the interior of your soul, you do work, you do art that comes from the interior of you, you cannot miss. It's only when you're doing stuff that you think might make money, you think it may be a hit, or you think it may bring you some level of attention or success. That isn't what does it. I would have to say that all of the great, wonderful experiences of my life that have brought me to this moment have come from working from the interior of myself. And so that's why it feels so authentic, because it actually is. So when you do that, you'll win.
Do you sometimes like to take on a more hands-on role with the companies that you work with? Or is that normal of an investor or a VC to do?
I think it's probably atypical. I mean, that's sort of why we've constructed the space that we've constructed, which is to have a lot of these really interesting companies here very early on. And what it allows me to do is sort of transfer knowledge. I mean, look, right now, I've come out of sort of like, 12 years of operating some of the most interesting consumer businesses that have been built on the internet. And I've been a part of now 3 massively seminal, interesting products. Winamp, Aim and ICQ, Facebook. And so there's a body of knowledge there that's really relevant. But it's only relevant for a short period of time. 4 years from now, I'll be as dumb as any other VC. But in these next 3 or 4 years, I probably have some reasonable knowledge to transfer. And so the best thing that I can do is make sure I'm in a position to get that into as many people as possible. Because then at that point, what I'm hoping is then I'll be able to learn from them. Right. Because they'll really understand the rules of how the next 10 years will evolve. And then I'll be able to learn from them, and they'll feel, a sense of, not necessarily obligation, but like, that maybe hopefully a little bit of, gratitude combined with a little bit of, pity. And then they'll want to sort of, teach me.
I very frequently get the question, what's going to change in the next 10 years? And that is an interesting question. It's a very common one. I almost never get the question, what's not going to change in the next 10 years? And I submit to you that second question is actually the more important of the two. Because you can build a business strategy around the things that are stable in time. And so as you pointed out, in our retail business, we know that customers want low prices. And I know that's going to be true 10 years from now. They want fast delivery. They want vast selection. It's impossible to imagine a future 10 years from now where a customer comes up to me and says, Jeff, I love Amazon. I just wish the prices were a little higher. You know how I love Amazon. I just wish you delivered a little more slowly. Impossible. And so the effort that we put into those things, spinning those things up, we know the energy we put into it today will still be paying dividends for our customers 10 years from now. And so when you have something that you know is true, even over the long term, you can afford to put a lot of energy into it. On AWS, the big ideas are also pretty straightforward. It's impossible for me to imagine that 10 years from now, somebody is going to say, I love AWS, I just wish it were a little less reliable. Or I love AWS, I just wish you would raise prices. It should be a little more expensive. Or I love AWS, and I wish you would innovate and improve the APIs at a slightly slower rate. None of those things you can imagine. And so the big ideas in business are often very obvious, but it's very hard to maintain a firm grasp of the obvious at all times. But if you can do that, and continue to spin up those flywheels and put energy into those things, as we're doing with AWS, over time, you build a better and better service for your customers on the things that genuinely matter to them.
When instead of just holding on to all of the stock that you got from Yahoo, you did what we call a collar. You collared it. So you hedged it. So tell everybody what went through your mind, because that was a big bet with huge dollars, right?
Yeah.
And it was
it was actually pretty simple. So, hedging stock, if, Yahoo paid us in Yahoo stock. And, I was smart enough to recognize, I guess, that what goes up could go down. But it wasn't that big a step because I was worth more than $1 billion. How much did I need, right? So I was telling everybody, just find me a way to hedge it. So in the event, look, if the stock price goes up and I leave something on the table, so be it, right? But I like that B next to my name and I wanted to keep it. And so I sold calls, bought puts, and effectively hedged it so that by the time, so there was a period of time from when I'd done that, and the internet stock market kept on going up, and I told people I'd hedged it, and Goldman Sachs, the company, had told people what I'd done. And I remember going on CNBC, the business channel, and then the guy going, boy, don't you feel stupid that Yahoo stock has kept on going up and you had this hedge? And I'm like, yeah, I feel so stupid riding around my G5 that I bought online, And it was just like, not to sound like a crazy, greedy capitalist, but yeah, and it was like, I just didn't want to screw it up. And so I hedged it, and then the internet bubble burst, and I was fully protected, and actually even made a little bit more money. And the motto, what I learned was you don't need to be greedy. I was very, very blessed. I was very fortunate. Look, I didn't plan the internet stock market to go up, and I didn't plan it to go down, so I was lucky in terms of scale, and I didn't want to screw it up, and so I hedged.
Do you remember how much your first server cost? You said you were...
$85.
$85.
And I remember that because that was the gating factor for us launching new schools. I mean, we had this philosophy from the very beginning that we didn't want to be this project. It wasn't even a company at the very beginning, but we didn't want to be burning a lot of money, right? We weren't planning on raising a lot of money. We didn't want to be one of these things that raised a bunch of money and was losing a bunch of money and then decided that we'd somehow pull it through at the end. And so $85 for the first server, put ads on the site. And the ads at the beginning were, we just were running some kind of ad network, and
Do you remember what the first ad was?
No, I don't. I don't.
How did you get ads?
This was Eduardo's job early on.
He was your ad sales guy.
He basically he was responsible for making sure that we had enough money to keep things running in the beginning. And but basically, so the server was $85, and Dustin and I basically worked on kind of efficiency and making sure that we can fit more schools onto each server, and Eduardo worked on selling more ads or making a deal so that we can get an ad network, so that way we can make more money. But then whenever we had more money, we rented another $85 a month server, and we kind of went from there. And I don't know, it's just an interesting way of scaling.
So you never spent money you didn't have in the beginning?
Not in the beginning. No, and then, even
that was the constraint on your growth rate? How many new $85s you could get?
Yeah, and it was actually good because, sometimes it's really nice to have the time to get your product to be awesome and deal with scaling problems. And one of the things that was interesting was, at the time, I don't know how many people remember this, but I mean, Friendster was the service that had massive scaling problems. And, the idea was they grew quickly and it was really hard for them to scale. And, the fact that we could kind of go college by college and kind of optimize the service and make it more efficient and offer new features, but make sure that they worked, I think was really key. I mean, you're talking about people who had never built a company before. We'd never built any large scale software or anything. So having that period where we could just bake it and people these days like to talk about how these services grow super quickly. And Facebook did grow quickly, but I think it took a year for us to get 1 million users. And we thought that was incredibly fast, but and I think it is, but it wasn't as quick as a lot of things grow today. And I think actually having that time to bake it was really valuable for us.
Many times I've gone with what I thought was fact, and sometimes which I thought were pretty good hunches, and I didn't do so well, but I'm very fortunate that more than 50% of the time I did do very, very well. And I'm finding out more recently in my life, the last couple of years, that you try not to just think with your brain, but think with your heart. How do you feel about the situation? How do you feel about the people, no matter how kind they are? And I've had some really nice people, got in foreign countries and everything else, that were the nicest people in the world. Turned out to be total ripoffs. But I didn't know that. There were clues along the way. So I say to everybody, and I say to myself now, feel the person out or feel the situation out with your heart. What is your instinct? I think now more in life that I go off instinct plus facts. Obviously you have to have some facts along with it.
Does it become easier the more you do it?
Yep, much easier. When you're set to, well, how do I feel about this? Shall we say, with data, stable data that I have. How do I feel about these facts? And how I feel about it, just my intuition, how do I feel about it from my heart? And the more you think about doing it that way, the more it happens.
I know what I can do now. Once you know what you can do, then you can do it a second time. And that's why so many people can go bankrupt and then come right back, because they know now. The first time you do it, you don't know. The second time you do it, you're like, I think maybe the third and fourth time, you're like, I know for sure I can do this. So that's why I say success is so important. Success is my duty, responsibility, and obligation to myself. Forget my family for a second. I need success for me, to feel good about me so I can be good with my family. And I think a lot of people are trying to do their life without having success be part of it. Success is part of my mental, I think success actually is the best medication for my mental health.
From 15 to 25, I was using drugs every day. So when I tell you, hey, you can do anything, I was a habitual daily drug user. Overdosed 3 times. Was brought back by people just wandering into a room saying, oh, this guy's in trouble. Okay, I don't know if I was trying to kill myself at the time or I was just didn't know what I was doing or stupid or whatever. I was a walking time bomb, and I was not to be trusted by my family, by my friends. There was no one in my life between 15 and 25 that I could have a positive influence on. I was a liability to everyone in my life, including my family and my friends and people I went to school with and the places I worked at. I lost 7 jobs in a row. I was unemployable. 25, I went to a treatment center and said, I got to turn this around. I got to turn this around. I cannot keep using drugs. They're bad for me. I make poor decisions when I'm using them. I go out with the wrong people, hang with the wrong people, end up in the wrong fights. I literally got, when you're using drugs, you're going to pick fights you can't win, not in a lifetime. You're going to get in the wrong cars, make the wrong decisions, the wrong purchases, and you're going to miss a lot of great opportunities. So first thing is, you can't do great things if you're incapable of making great decisions. And when you're under the influence, and I don't want to preach to you, I'm just telling you what advice I'd give myself if I was on the comeback and I was 15 years old and being influenced by everybody smoking the kush. It's cool now. It's probably going to be legal everywhere. Going out drinking on the weekends, forgetting everything that you did, and just making poor decisions. So I would tell you, hey, you got to figure out how is that going to somehow advance your life. You're going to have to make some hard choices. If I'm a young guy coming up, young gal coming up, how can I pick great relationships when everybody's under the influence? And again, I don't mean to sound like a preacher or anything, because I'm definitely not that. We're going to have a great time this weekend. I'm here for a week. We're going to have a lot of fun. But I couldn't do that if I was still under the influence every day.
You had a kind of a tough start in life. There was kind of drugs, there was job losses, a lot of kind of things happened to you. What was that trigger that made you say enough was enough? I want to turn this around.
Yeah, well, there was, I just hated my life, man. I hated my life. I hated that I was a disappointment to myself, my family, my community. I knew it. They knew it. I look at myself in the mirror. I was praying, meditating, begging, and I just kept making the wrong moves. So at some point, when you try and you don't quit enough times, sooner or later it's going to click.
When you lose a job, and I've lost a bunch of jobs, when you lose a job, the truth is people need to get to full acceptance and understand that once you lose a job, you might not be an engineer or an accountant anymore, but you have a new job immediately.
Yeah.
And the new job is to get a job, right? And when that guy heard those videos, he watched 3 of the 12 videos, and I showed him, hey, look, you're not out of work. Your new work is to get a job, and you need to go get a job now. You can go get an unemployment check if you want to, but sooner or later, you're going to have to confront the beast. And the beast is, I have this gorilla on my back wall. It reminds me, confront the beast, bro. Okay? You got to confront the biggest beast in the jungle. And I'm the enemy. In my life, I am the biggest problem I have. And so when you lose a job, first thing you got to confront is you. And say, wait a minute, am I out of work? Oh no, I just lost my title as engineer. My new job is to get a job and commit to going to get that job. And because it's going to be easier to get a job this week than it will be 26 weeks from now. I promise you. Because 26 weeks from now, you're going to have 25 million people running back to the job market. You want to go look when they're not looking.
Keep taking care of yourself every day. You got to do the work. Some things you cannot delegate. Taking care of your body, food you eat, somebody can cook it for you, you still got to put it in. And then you got to take care of yourself. And then you got to take your ideas and your dreams. Only you know what they really are. And only you and you alone know what your real potential is. Your wife can't do that for you. Your husband can't. Your boss can't. Your manager can't. God's not going to even do it for you, folks. You got to do that. You want to be in good shape? You can pray for it all you want. You want to get your money right? You can pray for it, but you got to do the work. Your destiny is waiting for you, but you got to do the work. The way I lead is I go do stuff.
First I do.
And when I talk about doing stuff, I'm talking about I move the bar. The only thing I look at every day is, did I move the graph up? Mm-hmm. I'm just I love that the symbol of Hercules. I think it was Hercules holding the world.
Yep.
And I imagine if it was a live character, he'd be pushing it up more all the time. That's what when I see a graph, we graph everything. Right. I look at grass and I'm like, I want to go be Hercules. I want to lift it. And that's all my people see me doing every day. Sure. I'm not an organizer. I'm not a planner. I'm not the meeting guy. I'm Hercules.
Constantly moving that bar.
Moving the bar. I'm the one making the points.
Right.
And so I'm like, look, Steve, I'm going to make 40 points today. Put 20 on the board, dog. I don't need you to do, because you can't, Steve. You can't make 40. Okay.
Right.
So me and Ryan, I'm like, Ryan, I'm gonna raise $2 million today. I bet you can't even do half of what I do.
Mm.
And what happens is, they see my energy is toward activities that get results, not ideas or concepts.
You guys got to get hard. You need to get hard, okay? It doesn't mean you need to be mean. I was telling this guy this morning, he's running a company, he's got 14 people. He's like, man,
He's like, every time I come here, I see the way your people look at you. I see the way your people respect you. How do you do that? I said, dude, I'm hard. People don't respect soft. In fact, they resent softness. They resent being in soft environments. They start showing up late. They leave early. The softer the environment gets, the less dangerous the environment is, the softer the environment is, and the less happy they are. I'm telling you, when people get hard, people get happy. People are happier in dangerous environments than they are in soft environments.
Everybody's going to lose something, dude. I've lost dogs. I lost my older brother. You're not, if the reason you're going to become a drug addict is because you lost your daddy, well, man, everybody should be a drug addict.
Everybody
so
should
that
be a
never
drug
connected.
addict.
I'm like, wait a minute, oh, you were abandoned by your father, or he abandoned you. I'm like, he died. Heart blew up in his chest.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm like, what is the problem here? The reason I got on drugs, bro, was because I was bored.
You were bored.
I would have taken anything. You could have offered me homosexuality. Yeah, let's roll.
I'm in.
You could have offered me a marathon. Yeah, I'll run a marathon. You could have offered me anything that would have been interesting, right? I would have taken it. I was looking for leadership, man. I was looking for activity. I was looking for aggression.
Yeah.
What can I do? You know, it's interesting. McGregor, he talks about, he's like, look, I don't win because of my skills. I win because I'm obsessed. And so I took out of that treatment center, they introduced me to other drugs, by the way. They wanted me to take these other Adderall or phenobarbital or something.
Did you take those or no?
I brought them home with me and threw them away and said, you know what my new drug is going to become? Success. I made a commitment when I was 25 years old and broke, okay? I came up with a new plan. First thing I did was this, okay? I made a plan so I could retire rich. Actually, with me, you could just drop the retire thing because once you start making money, you're like, I don't want to retire. I just want to make money, man. It's fun. Okay? No, but most people don't like money because they never have enough, man, to have any fun with it. Right? Or they make a little bit of money and they blow it. And then the next thing you know, they're out of work and they're like, oh, I hate money because the last time I had money, I blew it all. I went to strip joints, I bought a Ferrari, I wrecked it, I got in trouble. You see what I'm saying? Michael Tyson probably doesn't really like money because every time he got in, he screwed it up. But for those of you, you need a get rich plan. You need a get rich plan. You don't need a get by plan. Right now you got the get by plan. I want the get rich plan. So you need to understand what that takes. And the first thing it takes on the get rich plan is income. You got to increase your income. If you got a job making 36 grand a year, you got to wake up and say you will never, ever, ever, ever have anything if you keep that job at 36 grand a year. By the way, the job is not the problem. It's the 36 that is the problem. Okay? So you got to figure out, dude, how do I get from 36 to 360? Oh my God, that's going to be hard. Not really. If you take a look, first of all, look at your commitment, okay? Man, I'm a waitress. Okay, good. There's other waitresses that are making 360 grand a year. You have to first make the decision. I know this sounds esoteric. Nothing happens without the decision to get rich and understand the plan you have doesn't work. Okay? Because the plan your mom and dad had was never a decision to get rich. It was to get by. Right? That's why they said diversify. That's why they said buy a house. Remember the house? That was one of the plans. A house does not make you rich. It's impossible. It ties you down. There's no income associated with it, okay? So every decision's got to be this. I got to get this number up to that. That's why I don't buy a house. Because me buying a house doesn't get me $360 a year. You get it? Or $3 million a year. Right? What gets me that is income.
In the treatment centers, you know, you basically share all your secrets. I was telling them, like, I want to be rich. I want to be famous. I want to write books. And the guy's like, dude, if you don't give up on all that, you will be back here in 30 days. He's like, you need to be satisfied. I never forget the speech on the 28th day. Health insurance had run out, so they're going to kick my ass out, right? Because the money ran out. He says, if you don't give up on all these ideas, these grand illusions, the grandiosity, you don't give up on all that, you will be hated. And I threw all that addiction and obsession with destruction that you like understand as well as anyone and have talked about so eloquently. I threw all that obsessive energy into work to become a master at a few things. And that's what's really changed my life and my direction to where I can just run down a path and over the period of 35 years create something for myself that, you know, I'm sitting in a room with Mike Tyson. Makes you obsessed. They're going to tell you, like they told me, and I believed it for a while. I did, but I didn't. Is, look, you're a drug addict. You can't help it. You're powerless. It's in your genetic code, and you have no control over it. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that I believe that to be complete garbage and bullshit. So, if I was a drug addict and it's completely out of my control, then I would have had to use drugs today. And I didn't. So using drugs is a choice. I would tell you, and I would tell everybody that has that addictive nature, is congratulate yourself and pat yourself on the back that you have the ability to be addicted to something. And take that addiction, dude, and put it into something unbelievable. Because every super successful person that I have studied and or met has the ability to be obsessed with something to the point of losing sleep, to the point of I don't need to eat. I'll go in debt. I'll go bankrupt. I'll go down with the ship to make this thing happen. And that's really what turned my whole life around, was just flipping the addiction, not trying to not be in control, not trying to turn it all over, just saying, hey, I'm gonna take this energy and I'm gonna dump it into work.
When you're hating on somebody in your same space, right, or they're hating on you, remember this. You keep focused on creating massive, massive success. Okay, because when you get up to the top of the food chain, whatever the food chain is in your space, whether it's financial or insurance or real estate or influencers or podcasters, or maybe you're doing a real business. You're not doing it. You're not an influencer and you're not a podcaster. You're like, why all these guys spending all this time doing podcasts? I got a business to grow. I got employees. Maybe you're doing that. So, what's my point? Anytime you watch any of my videos, you say, dude, what's the guy really talking about? I'm doing this for you. I don't get paid to do it. So if you're getting any value out of this, I'm telling you, when you get up the food chain, and you will because you're watching me, you will get up the food chain. You will become a super successful person, but you won't if you hate. You will not become super successful if you take the time to worry about these other people in your space. Flow and power, man. Love on them. Send them love, send them customers, send them deals. But don't be surprised when they don't send it back. Because they're not. No book tells you this. All these guys doing their little quotes, talking about abundancy, scarcity, but watch how they act when you get up there, man. Watch it, man. It's gonna be crazy. You're gonna be like, Cardone told me. While I was eating snow, the dude told me that they were gonna hate on me. I had somebody call me the other day and said, hey, dude, I wanna give you some, you need to know how to handle some of these situations you're running up against, okay? Because there's a way for you to prevent some of this. These people hating on you. I said, dude, I'm not gonna try to prevent somebody from being stupid. That's just dumb. I got enough insurance in my life already. Most of the time, the accident never happens. The way to ensure that these haters and criticizers and little thinkers don't bother you is don't be them, number one. Number two, keep flowing them love and power, baby. Number three, get to the top. Get to the top of the food chain where everybody at the top knows you. And the people that wouldn't flow you on the way up or wish they didn't do what they did, okay? If your life is not the way it should be, then you should hate yourself right now. I don't blame you. You should. The best way, but dude, I hated my shit before I loved my shit. I hated myself so bad I couldn't look in the mirror. Jared told me the other day, he's like, you don't have a mirror in your bathroom. I can bring you in there right now. There's no mirror in there. Check this out. I said, dude, I don't need a mirror. I remember, you know what, that bathroom, I remember having an apartment where I couldn't put a mirror on the wall. Broke it. I broke the mirror. Look at that.
right there. There ain't no mirror there. I told Jared yesterday, I said, dude, I don't have a mirror. I said, I don't care. I don't need to look at myself. I remember when I'd look at myself and I hated myself. Broke the mirror out of my bathroom because I couldn't look at my face. Because the mirror reminded me, every time I had a mirror, I was putting something on it to put it in my face. Hated myself, man. Hated myself. Didn't have any money. Had all this potential. Overdosing daily. Guys, you want to change? You got a bunch of potential? Tell yourself the truth. Okay? Do you have more potential than you're using? Ask yourself right now. Just ask yourself. Just meditate on this a second. Do I have more potential than I'm using? You guys should ask yourself that every morning when you wake up. Man, what do you say to yourself in the morning? First thing I do in the morning, I wake up and say, do I have more potential? Thank you, Alex. Do I have more potential than I'm using? Dude, if I do, if it's even this much, then I gotta get the up and go get it. This is where God lives. Dude, this is the spiritual part of life, is the seeking of potential, not the seeking of serenity and happiness. Serenity and happiness are f***ing selfish commodities. It's about me, man. For me to seek my potential, the next level, means I got to give up what I have. That's where God lives, man. God's proud of Grant Cardone. You know what? A bunch of humans don't like Grant. God loves Grant. Yo. You know what? Because God's like, dude, that guy, he will put it out there. You guys all praying? You know what my prayer is? My prayer is not talking to God. My prayer is taking action.
Now I've got some special bonus clips that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the Billionaire Mindset question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? Also, if you've already got your Billionaire Mindset Companion PDF calendar, get ready for another amazing video tomorrow. Or if you don't have it yet, you can get it for free in the first line of the description below. And if you're enjoying this Billionaire Mindset series, give me a hashtag Billionaire Mindset in the comments below so I can celebrate you. Finding your passion does not have to be hard. Understanding what you should be doing with your life and how you can be serving other people is one of the greatest gifts you can give, not just yourself, but your family, your community, the world around you. But if you write off finding your passion as being too difficult, not worthwhile, too expensive, too scary, that you can't do it, then you cheat yourself of that amazing gift and you will never be happy. We're gonna fix that in this video. So I wrote this book, Built to Serve, and I did it because I was on my tour last year. I hit 90 days, 23 different cities, and I went for a different reason. I went on my tour talking about how to build momentum in your life and your business, and what I kept coming back with in every city was, how do I find my passion? How do I find my purpose? How do I know what I'm supposed to do with my life? In every city, the same thing kept happening over and over and over and over and over again. And so I don't think the right thing to do is slam people for asking the question of, how do I find my passion? I think the better answer is to actually give them a process, to give people a solution. And it just blew my mind how difficult people make it on themselves, and they feel like they need to meditate for years, they need to hire some super expensive coach. They feel like it's hopeless and they'll never figure it out because they look at the people around them and you see, well, the people around you haven't figured it out, so how am I going to figure it out? And if your parents haven't figured it out, why are you listening to them to help you figure out your purpose and your passion, what you're supposed to do? It doesn't have to be that difficult. And I started going through this process with people when I met them at my different groups and my speaking gigs in each of the cities that I went to. And the most memorable one was in San Jose, where I walked people through this process of who I have. And just the first question was like, hey, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know how to find my passion. And I walked them through the who I have process. And then that person started crying and in a great way, like, wow, finally having some clarity. And then the rest of the Q&A basically was me doing the same thing for the people. Who I have. And now people have clarity and momentum where they didn't have it before. And so it's why I wrote the book. It's why I'm making videos like this. It's because I want to share the process with you so that you can find your clarity, you can find your passion, you can find your purpose, and turn it into something that builds a happy life for you and for the people around you for the rest of your life. It's one of the most important things. If you figure this out, understand that this will never get old. Finding your passion, finding your purpose, those two things, will never get old. You'll love doing those things for the rest of your life. So I talked about, there's a 3-step process: who, why, how. I'm gonna walk you through it right now. It starts with who. So who is your one word most important core value. When you figure this out, it gives you so much clarity over who you are to allow you to make better decisions moving forward. So my who is believe. My most important core value is believe. And understanding that allows me to be around people who also believe. Right? If you're trying to get into a relationship, or you're trying to hire somebody for your team, or you're trying to manage somebody who's already on your team, or you want to attract suppliers or customers or investors, core values are the thing that keeps people together. And we talk about it a lot in corporate world, and your list of 13 core values. They don't even know what those 13 core values are. No CEO knows off by heart what their core values are. And that if you don't know what your core values are, then you're not living them. So forget the 13. One, what's your single most important core value? Mine is believe. Yours might be care, or freedom, or creativity, or structure, or discipline, right? I mean, somebody who values security as their most important core value versus somebody who values creativity and freedom, right? Those are how you manage and interact with that person is going to be very different. You can't push the person who values security on freedom and creativity, right? And somebody who values creativity as their most important doesn't want to be boxed in by security. And so when you understand what your most important core value is, and so think about what movies you like, the people that you love, the lessons that you learn from your favorite teacher, all of this, or just spend some time thinking about what is my most important core value. You have to pick one over everything else. Don't worry about being the perfect one yet. Just if you have to pick one. This exercise is in a book that walks you through it in a lot more detail, but one core value. Understanding that gives you clarity for the rest of your, that will never change. I'm believe for life. If anything, just more and more believe, right? Step 2 is figuring out your why. Your why is something Simon preaches, right? Start with why. Your why is your purpose. Your purpose comes from your pain. This is what I think Simon missed in his TED Talk. Your purpose comes from your pain. Your purpose for the rest of your life is helping people who currently are what you used to be. There's lots of people who currently are who you used to be. Whatever you struggled with, think about the lowest moment as a human in your life. What was that? What were you doing? What were you faced with? Emotionally bankrupt. Like, when was that moment? You felt worthless as a person. What was that moment? What happened? There's lots of people who currently are that. And you going back and helping them, teaching them, giving them hope, motivation, guidance is the thing that will lift you up for the rest of your life. So again, that gives you massive clarity. And then the how is the last step. And the how is, how did you get out of the hole? So I love helping entrepreneurs. My why is helping entrepreneurs because I struggled so much as an entrepreneur. Why am I still doing this? How do I still have energy? It's 20 years now of helping entrepreneurs. It's crazy. The YouTube channel for 11 years. Why? Why still go? Why still make so many videos every day? Why have 12 different channels? Oh, this side. Why have all these channels? Why? It's my why propels me forward. My purpose demands it. The how, for me, of getting out of that hole that I was in was modeling success. I looked at Bill Gates and how he started Microsoft, and I learned those strategies and applied it to my company. The how becomes your passion, be able to teach people how to get out of it. Teaching people how to get out of the hole that they're in, that you used to be in, is your passion. It's not that challenging to figure out. How you execute it may change with years, right? So right now I'm doing YouTube. When I first found this, YouTube wasn't even around. So I did speeches and seminars, and then that became YouTube, and now then it became books, and in 20 years it's gonna be VR and some other technology. Awesome, but that's something that will serve me for life. I'll be 95 years old, sitting in a senior's home or in a wheelchair, or maybe by that time we'll be advanced in technology. I'll still be, running around. But I'll be 95 years old and looking back and still loving helping people. If you're an entrepreneur who needs belief, who feels hopeless, I'll still love helping that person get better and believe in themselves and give them strategies and how they can model success to go off and do it. And so this is the gift that I want. It's why I wrote the book, right? If you don't have it yet, you can check it out. There's probably a link somewhere in the description below, or just go to evancarmichael.com or Amazon. You can find it. I want people to find their purpose. I want people to find their passion. It's a much more fulfilling life for you, for your family, for the people around you. And it's not that difficult a process to go through. It frustrates me when people are making it seem a lot more complex than it has to be. And when you get that clarity for your life, for the rest of your life, I think it's the most valuable gift that you can give to yourself and the people around you. Finding your calling is easy. I think it's crazy that people don't know how to find their calling. I think it's among the most important questions that you need to figure out in life. Like, how are you living your life without knowing why you're here, what your calling is, how you're going to serve, the message you have, the one impact that you want to have? It's crazy. Like, you can't live a happy, fulfilled life until you know what that is. And it's not that difficult. And it just blows my mind, because when you figure it out, when Will Smith figures it out, when all these super insanely talented people figure it out, the world's gonna change. Can you imagine a world where everybody has found their calling and is living it? I want to live in that world. And so that's why I'm trying to create that world. Here's how you do it. It's actually not that difficult. It's in my new book, Built to Serve, link in the description, go get it. This is the overview. One, it starts with understanding that you're built to serve, right? There's a reason why I called the book Built to Serve. You are built to serve. Your calling comes from helping other people. It's not to make just a ton of money. It's not just to be able to say, hey, here I am on the beach, right? That's not your calling. That doesn't make you happy. Those are short-lived moments. Your calling comes from serving and helping other people. You are built to serve. Your happiness will come from helping other people because you are built to serve. 3 steps to figure it out. 1, your who, your one word most important core value. Mine is believe. What is yours? Look through all of the things that you love that's made you come alive. Your favorite movie, your favorite book, what you love about your parents. Look to who your favorite teacher was of all time. Why? It's not because Mrs. Jones taught you grade 8 math. It's because she made you feel a certain way. What? What did she make you feel? Why? Right? Make that connective tissue between all the things that make you come alive. And then it makes it easy for you to figure out what you love more than anything else, what your single most important core value is. Mine is belief. Thus, everything I make is around belief. The people in my life, the content I make, the products that I create, all of it has to be around belief. This video, the intention is belief. I want you to believe in yourself more. Maybe I don't achieve it, but it's my intention every single time. And so when you figure out your most important core value, and then you start to organize your life and your business around it, it has a gigantic impact on your life and what you do, how you feel. If I was around people all day long who didn't believe, that'd be a really toxic, negative, hard place for me to win in. But since I know that I'm about belief, I attract people who also love the message of believe. It's why we have such an amazing community. It's why all the videos I put up are positive. I'm not putting up videos trashing somebody, showing them at their worst, their weakest moments, why they suck. Those videos would probably get more views, to be honest. But I don't, because it's not about belief. Same thing for you. What is your single most important core value? So look for all the things you love and then try to draw a line. Write down 3 descriptive keywords. So what you loved about your parents, what you loved about your favorite teacher, what you loved about your favorite movie, your favorite book, all of it. 3 descriptive keywords for each, and then see which word pops up over and over and over and over again. That's your one word, most important core value. You have to figure it out. That will never get old. I'm going to believe in people for life. Next, your why. It's who, I, how. Your why. Your purpose comes from your pain. The thing that you struggled the most with as a human, you felt the most worthless, most insecure, most disposable as a person. That thing, you want to help other people not suffer as much as you did. So Will Smith trying to figure out his calling? It's not that hard. Go back and find the single moment where you felt the most worthless, most disposable, lowest as a human. What was that moment? Your purpose in life is to help other people not feel that way as well. I was meeting a woman a couple days ago on the beach, and she was saying, I felt so many times where I felt low. There's not just one moment, so many times. I go, okay, great, talk to me about them. And one of them was an ex-partner leaving her for her best friend. One of them was her father not treating her well and having some abuse in the family. It's like, okay, great. Let's just take those two. What's common between those two? Different moments in your life, different people around you. What's common? And she took 5 seconds to think about it, then said, I felt disposable. And then she had this pause. And then she came up and hugged me. Like, every moment that I felt the lowest in my life, I felt disposable by other people. That's your why. That's your purpose. To help other people not feel disposable. and you'll love that for life. Then she got all emotional, thanked me. It's not that difficult. Draw a line. If there's not just one moment, draw a line between all of the negative things that you felt the worst as a human. Maybe other people didn't care about it, but you did. When you go home and you felt worthless, why? What happened? What's the common feeling between them? Your purpose for the rest of your life is to help other people not feel the same way. That's your calling, and that will never get old. That's the who, that's the why, then the how. How you got out of it, how you suffered through it, what you did, the techniques is teachable. It's a recipe. You can show other people how to do it too. You're still on your path. You're not done growing. You're not done learning. You never want to be. I'm not done growing, learning. Will Smith is not done learning, growing. You're never done. You don't want to be, but you know more than you did 5 years ago. And there's lots of people who currently are what you were 5 years ago. They currently are. They're living in the hell that you experienced. They're right there, and they feel hopeless. And you feel there's no path. There's no exit. There's no plan. They don't know what to do. They're lost. You represent hope. And you can touch them in a way that nobody else can. You can touch them in a way that I can, that Will Smith can. Because you've been through it where I haven't and Will Smith hasn't either. You've been through it. And so how you got out of it is inspiration and is a recipe you can teach, because most people who went through what you went through don't get out of it. They still are stuck. For years or decades, they're stuck. So it's the who, the why, and the how. Find your purpose. Find your calling. Be set for life on a purposeful, happy, fulfilled life. That's the path. And I hope you follow it. You don't win a Nobel Prize by telling yourself that you want to win a Nobel Prize. You win a Nobel Prize by having a mission so big that it forces you to become somebody new. A stronger, more bold, more resilient version of you. If you make success your goal, you will most likely miss it because you have the wrong outcome in mind. Make impact your goal. Make your mission your goal, and you'll end up having more success than you ever thought possible. I look at my YouTube channel as an example, and the next goal would be to have 10 million subscribers, right? I got my 100,000 plaque. I got 3 of them there. I got my million plaque. The next goal is 10 million. And there's nothing wrong with having goals, but the problem is if I made 10 million the thing, like all I'm doing is chasing down 10 million subscribers, it forces you to do short-term decisions that end up not serving you, right? If I wanted to just blow up my channel, the best way to do it isn't actually to spread positive content. Negativity spreads much faster than positivity. If I made a top 10 video on why this person sucked, or an espresso about how this person's an idiot, or people fighting, people can't help but see that. That's why people stop to see the car accident on the highway, right? We don't reward the good drivers. You want to see the chaos. You want to see what caused the flame. There's a fight on a street corner. You stop to see what's going on, right? We're attracted to the negativity more than the positivity. That's a faster way to blow up my channel. The problem is, I wouldn't feel good about it. I don't want to spread negativity. I don't want to spread conflict and chaos. I don't want to spread pessimism. I don't want to spread despair. I don't want to spread ego. I don't want to spread negativity. I don't want to do that. And so it would lead to me flaming out before I ever hit the goal. That's the problem. You can have this goal. This is what most people do. You have some goal. Here's my goal. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to that goal. The problem is you won't do whatever it takes because it's going to get too hard. You can only do things for so long that you don't love before you quit and give up. And so there's nothing wrong with having a goal, but more important than the goal is the mission. I want to solve the world's biggest problem. It's something that's never going to happen. Never. In my lifetime, it's never going to happen. I want people to believe in themselves more. It's never going to hit that ultimate goal where everybody is Michael Jordan at something. It will never happen. And I wake up every day trying to do that. And so if you make a goal tied to some outcome, like getting 10 million subscribers on YouTube, it's going to force you down a path that likely won't serve you. So you lead with the mission, you lead with the impact, and success will follow. Now, how do you do it? I'm going to give you a 3-step process that I think will help. Step number 1 is understand that your purpose comes from your pain. So the goal isn't the thing, the mission, the impact is the thing. Great, so what's your mission? Well, your mission comes from your pain. Your purpose comes from your pain. The thing that you struggled the most with in life is the thing that you want to help other people with for life. There are so many people who currently are what you used to be, Think about who you used to be, whether it's a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. When were you at the lowest of lows? The lowest of lows. You felt worthless, hopeless. There was no path forward. You didn't know what to do. You were lost. Maybe you turned to the dark side of life for a little bit. That person, there's a lot of people who currently are that person. You can help them. You must help them. You want to help them. That's your purpose. That's your mission for the rest of your life. So people struggle with figuring out what's my purpose. That's it. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. You want to help people who currently are who you used to be. And every time you step up and you keep learning, you keep growing, you reach back and you help people learn and grow a little bit more as well. Your purpose comes from your pain. That's your mission for life. Step number 2 is have your big why and little why. Your big why is your big mission, the why, what you're doing, right? Your purpose from your pain, what you're trying to do. I wake up every day and I'm trying to conquer this impossible thing. That's your big why. And sometimes that's motivating, inspiring, it gets you out of bed, you want to go do it. It gets you feeling amazing. But sometimes it feels too big. Sometimes it feels impossible. Sometimes you question yourself, like, who are you to go off and do this crazy big thing? That's where the little why comes into place. The little why is you saying, well, I may not be able to do this big thing, but I can help one person. And it's thinking back to one person that you helped, one YouTube comment that came in, one client who took your advice, one person who you met on the street and you helped, or somebody who showed up to your event, or a client, customer who called in and you helped them. You helped them. You helped them. You've helped somebody. And even though you may feel like helping a billion people is way too impossible, you know you can help somebody. And so on the days when you need that little bit extra motivation, on the days when you feel too small, you remember your little why. That you can still get up and you can help one person and another person and another person. And so in the days when the big why is enough, amazing. And when it's not enough, you turn to the little why. You have the big why and the little why. Those combined help give you the motivation to get going every single day. And then step 3 is have daily momentum. The biggest thing for most people that's missing is momentum. You're a genius. You have great ideas. You could do amazing things. I believe in you. I see it across all the people that I've met off the tour I did last year, the tour I'm doing next year. You have amazing genius level talent. The problem for so many entrepreneurs is they start and they stop and they start and they stop. They don't see results and so they quit. That starting and stopping is the thing that prevents you from winning. It's the daily consistent grind. Every single day doing something to move your mission forward. That's important. My channel has won, even though I'm less talented than a lot of people who I've passed, because I did a video every day. And it's been, it was 3 videos a day, and now we're doing 6 videos a day across YouTube, across different channels. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just being willing to get up and every day do it, right? Just if you're trying to lose weight, if you diet once a week, if you eat healthy once a week, if you exercise once a week, you're not going to get results. Why do you think you're going to get results in your business? It's the same thing. It's consistency. It's the every single day follow through. And it's hard to anticipate what you can do in a day, but if you keep looking back, if you did something every day for the next 6 months, you look back, you'll see how far you came. Like, I can't believe I came that far. It was only 6 months ago. That's wild. That's crazy. Because every single day you did work. The only thing you're missing is momentum. So let's start with this. Purpose is not passion. They're related, but they're not the same thing. Passion is also not that hard to figure out. Neither is purpose. People just have not been given the right tools. So let's simplify it for you today. And if you're someone who's struggling to figure out what your purpose and your passion are, this video is going to be insanely helpful for you. I have a who, why, how process. Who is your most important core value? We're not going to dive into that in this video, but the next 2 are your why and your how. Your why is your purpose and your how is your passion. So let's start with purpose. Your purpose is your why. Your purpose comes from your pain. Your purpose is whatever the thing you struggled with the most in life. Think back to the most painful moment in your life. What was it? What was happening? What was around you? What was that moment? For positive, entrepreneur, optimistic people, this actually might be a challenge. For me, it was a challenge because I don't want to think about the bad past. I don't want to think about what happened to me. I'm focused on what I'm doing now and going forward, not rearview mirror stuff. What happened back then doesn't matter, except it does. Because the thing that will fill you up the most is helping people who are currently going through the thing that you struggled with the most. So whatever was the most painful moment in your life, from when you're born until right now, that you can remember, not physical pain, psychological pain, mental pain, the thing that made you feel terrible. What was that thing? Your purpose is to help other people who are feeling that right now. And so imagine who you are now and imagine who you used to be, whether that's a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Go back to whoever that person was. Let's just say it's 5 years ago. Great. The person you are now, can help the person who you were 5 years ago. You may not have all the answers. You're still on your path. You don't know everything, but you've grown. You've come out of the hole. You're better than you were 5 years ago. Talk to the person you were 5 years ago. Helping that person is your purpose. You've climbed up the staircase, right? You've grown. There's still a lot more stairs to grow. You don't want the staircase to end. That staircase is your growth, is your professional and personal development for life. You want to keep climbing. And every time you take a step, what you want to do is reach down and help somebody else up. But you can only help people to the extent that you've grown. If you've taken 8 steps on the staircase, that's all you can help people up to get to step number 8. If you get to 20, you can help people more. So we want to keep growing, keep climbing those stairs, and then keep reaching back and pulling people up and giving them a hand. That's your purpose for life. You'll like serving people and helping people, and it's tied to your core value, your who, your one word. We're not talking about it much in this video, but you'll just like helping people because service is hardwired into our brain. Helping people is hardwired to your brain. It has a similar impact on your brain as food and sex. It's hardwired. You'll like it. You want to help people. You want to serve. But who you serve will be different. It'll have a different impact. I love helping people in general, but if you're an entrepreneur, that's something extra special. There's so many great causes in the world. There's so many great causes. Why this instead of this? Because you have an emotional connection to it, an emotional attachment to it. Why? Because you went through it. Because you suffered through it, and you want to make sure that nobody else has to suffer as much as you suffered. Your purpose comes from your pain, period. It'll fill you up for life. Helping entrepreneurs will fill me up for the rest of my life. It will never get old. When I'm tired, when I have no energy, when I'm depleted, I will still meet with entrepreneurs because it fills me up. Your purpose comes from your pain. You have to find it. Now let's talk about passion. So your passion is your how. Your passion is the things that you're doing, how you're gonna actually execute against your why, execute against your purpose. What are you doing? It's great that you believe in entrepreneurs, amazing, but what are you going to do? How are you gonna go about doing it? So for me, it's making videos. For me, it's doing speaking gigs. For me, it's writing books. For me, it's helping people one-on-one. For me, it's doing events, right? That's my how. But that will evolve, that will change. Right? I started doing this helping entrepreneur thing when I was 22 years old. And that started just by doing speaking. And then it became my website. And I had 100,000 plus pages of content. And then I shut the thing down overnight and I focused on YouTube. And it's been a 10-year plus journey on YouTube. And maybe in 10 years that's gone and I'm doing something totally different. I don't know, the how will change a lot. What you get passionate about, or to Mel's point about energy, what you get energy about will change with time. But it has to be connected to your purpose. Just because it gives you energy, it's not going to fill you up. It's got to be connected to a deeper source, which is your purpose. Most people quit on things because they don't have a powerful mission or they don't know where their drive comes from. Chasing an opportunity isn't enough because you're going up against people who love that thing, who might be willing to die for that thing. If you want to go to Mars, you're competing against Elon Musk, who would die to go to Mars. You better absolutely love it or he's going to crush you. You need to find the thing that you love that does not feel like work. Otherwise, you'll end up working your entire life and hating it. So every Thursday when I'm in Toronto, I do this free event for Toronto entrepreneurs at my dance studio, Toronto Dance Salsa, 5 to 6 p.m. Thursdays when I'm in the city. I do a free event, Q&A session for an hour. Come out, meet me, talk, let's hang out, however I can help, give back to the community and help local entrepreneurs. My Thursdays are bonkers. My Thursdays are all day long interviews, hangouts, podcasts, Skype sessions, one-on-ones. My assistant books them in 25-minute chunks, and I have 25 minutes on, 5-minute break in between. Usually I use that break to get set up for the next one. 25 minutes, 5, 25, 5, 25, 5, the whole day long. And then I end up going to the studio, I record my podcast with Mark Drager. I then do 2 30-minute one-on-ones that we film for the YouTube channel. And then after all of that, I do a 1-hour Q&A for the entrepreneur community. And then after that, I'm doing more meetings with my team. It's crazy. And somebody asked me last Thursday, how do you have the energy for all of that stuff? I love it. Like, I love being there with the people. That group session is the best for me. I love it. I'm not getting paid for it. It's free. It's probably not a great use of my time. If I had to pick for 1 hour, what's the best use of my time? Hang out with startup entrepreneurs, ask me their questions, or do something like write my book or make my next course or something else. It probably doesn't make the most sense, but I love it. And so therefore it makes the most sense, right? And for other people, jumping into my schedule might be torture, and it should be. For me to jump into your schedule should be torture. I should look at your calendar and say, that's ridiculous. How do you have so much energy for all that stuff? And when you jump into mine, it should look the exact same. For me, when I gear up for Thursday, as an example, when I put my extrovert hat on, I gain energy as the day goes on. I'm not losing energy. By the time I hit 5 o'clock and I'm doing the group session with people, I'm carrying the energy of all the entrepreneurs that I've met on my 25-minute one-on-ones throughout the entire day. I love it. I gain more steam, but most things, ask me to do almost anything else for 8, 10, 12, 14 hours, I would hate my life. Ask me to make coffee for 10 hours a day, I would hate my life. Ask me to play piano, ask me to do almost anything for that amount of time, I would hate my life because it feels like work. And so you have to find the thing that does not feel like work. So then when you go off and do it, it actually gives you energy. So paying attention to the energy, if at the end of every day you're like, oh, this sucks. Like, that's a good signal that you're doing the wrong thing, because you have Michael Jordan level talent at something. You are a genius. You should be crushing it at something. And if the work that you're doing is draining your energy, if the people around you are draining your energy, chances are you're in the wrong spot. You're hanging with the wrong people. You're doing the wrong kind of work. If you want to sign up for the entire Billionaire Mindset series for free and get the companion bonus PDF calendar, check the link right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.